So yeah, basically in the casino. So yeah, actually pretty good setup here. You can see the Dibinar match on the kind of the screen, and they've got they've got volume as well, which is kind of good. I guess. Well, yeah, there'll be volume everywhere. I think, but it's a pretty good setup. Pretty good kind of yeah. For a casino, compare this to, I don't know, some of the US casinos are not great. But Crown is good. Crown, I think, is the biggest in Australia as well. Out of the 13 casinos, first casino, of course, Rest Point, and most recent Sydney. Well, certainly, yeah, Barangaroo, but also Star City Drive, which is kind of strange, isn't it? Why would Sydney have the sort of last casino? I think out of the 13, but anyway. So yeah, I got the Dibinar. I don't know. Who's he playing this guy? I don't know. Is that Italy? Probably. Is that Italy? I don't know. Never heard of him. But anyway, Dibinar. 10 seed, first set. I don't know, 1-all. Might just take a seat and yeah, start to have a look at it a bit more detail. Bro, no, you sit? Huh? Yeah? Thanks.
This feels like another time.
So I mean, yeah. So how good is Dibinar? Well, yeah. This is only my predictions, obviously, but yes, he's hit the top 10. But I mean, I don't know. But then again, Andy Murray. Well, I don't know. Wasn't he like 4 for quite a long period of time? Wasn't that guy? What's his name? Ferrer, David Ferrer. Yeah. And even he was just like on clay. He was pretty dominant on clay, obviously, except for Rafa Nadal. But yeah, that guy Ferrer. He was like constantly, wasn't he, like 4? It was really like getting to the, I don't know. He was like making semis and just quarters consistently almost every slam. And just of course couldn't beat the top players. But Andy Murray, well, full credit, yes, he did actually win a couple of slams. I don't know how many did win. I can't remember now. And he did. I remember he did beat Djokovic in that final. Back in 2011, I think. Oh, no, 2012. Yeah, 2012 US, and went to 5 sets, and Andy Murray did actually win that. So. He's obviously nowhere near the caliber of the trio, but he did win a couple of slams, and I think he did win the Olympic gold as well in singles, which I don't know. Federer never got gold. Federer got gold in doubles, but not in singles. I don't know about the other two. I just can't recall. So how good's Dibinar? Well, I don't know. I mean. Yeah, I don't know. To win slams, I mean, can he beat the likes of a Djokovic and Alcaraz now coming up? I don't know who else there. Tsitsipas. There's I don't know, Ben Shelton. There's Medvedev. Medvedev won a slam. It's certainly how did Medvedev beat how he beat when Djokovic he won the Australian French Wimbledon and he was going for the calendar slam, and then Medvedev actually beat Djokovic. So Djokovic has kind of choked on a few matches, in my opinion. But I don't know. Maybe yeah. Maybe it's just pretty difficult to win every slam, obviously. So, but I don't know. Dibinar, well, I guess once you win one, then you've got potential to win a lot. But just to win that one, and yeah, sure, he's cracked the top 10, but there's a big difference between the top 10, the top 4, and of course winning a slam. So, sure, he's going to win this match, obviously. But, I haven't actually watched him play that much anyway. What is his game? He doesn't have much height. So I guess he doesn't have much of a serve. Maybe just grinds it out from the baseline. And, I don't know. Which is typical of playing now anyway. But yeah, I guess that's all the best you can do, depending on your height. And typically, if you've got too much height anyway, yes, you're going to have a good serve, but then you're going to lack the mobility on the from the baseline. And I think Djokovic, yeah, maybe he's just the ideal height. Like he's not exactly as tall as, say, a Sampras or a Federer, but he's not kind of as small as, as Rafa or, I don't know, Hewitt or some of these other players. So maybe he's kind of the optimal height. And of course, he plays best on hardcore, so he can handle the extremes of pace on the other two surfaces, going to the grass and of course, going to the clay. And so it's naturally biased. If you play best on hardcore, then you've got more chance of winning more slams than if you do play best on, clay or grass, for that matter. But that's just what your game's suited to. And yeah, Djokovic is obviously maximising it, and very, very effectively. So, and maybe that's why he's won more slams than Rafa, and of course Federer, just as a result of that. And of course, you do have 2 slams played on hard court as well. But having said that, no, he hasn't won a lot of slams at the US. What has he won? 4? Or did he get to 5? I don't know. Compared to his 10, is it 10 or 11? I can't remember now, at the Australian. So there's quite a big difference there. Having said that, yes, he did lose to Medvedev, of course, in that match he should have won. He lost to Andy Murray at the US. And Nadal has had a lot of success at the US in comparison, I think, to the Australian and Wimbledon, which in itself maybe doesn't really make sense. The US was typically playing faster than the US. I don't know if that's the case anymore. You can adjust the speed of the surface on the hard courts by the way it's painted. Grass obviously is the fastest and clay being the slowest. But the problem with these synthetic is you don't get consistency in the speed. When the grass wears out, it comes a bit faster. And I don't know. Ideally, the one surface which you can adjust the speed, but maybe that's just too difficult. So it becomes sort of a material science problem or but yeah, it is good, yeah, to have the 3 surfaces. And that's what we've typically seen in the trio. And of course, I had my predictions at one stage. I had the trio dominating on their particular surface in terms of the predictions, which wouldn't typically happen all that often. You don't get 3 players dominating on a surface. It's generally just the 2 players. I don't know, Agassi, Sampras. Sampras, hard court, grass, and certainly Sampras, grass, Agassi, clay, and maybe it switch between the hard court between Sampras and Agassi at different stages in their careers. But yeah, everyone's sort of forgetting those sort of days. I think prior to the trio, we had the Sampras, Agassi. So I don't know. I think Sampras was just very good to watch. I thought Federer very good to watch as well. Djokovic, a bit of a robot. But just I don't know. He just doesn't have the finesse at the end of the day. He doesn't have the style of play like a Federer. So, but he gets the results, and of course Rafa gets the results in play. I guess that's what really matters, doesn't it? I don't know. I sort of like more of the serve volley. Also like a lot of free points on serve. So even just ripping aces one after another, I think that is very difficult to do, and I quite like that style of play. And you're going to get that typically in men's tennis on the grass because it is the fastest surface. So yeah. I think it's good coming to the casino in the end. And yeah, so I got my I got my data. I mean, not date her, but I got my data, I should say, from the poker machines where I was looking at the probability. So on the poker machines, not every machine, but I found one machine that had the top 5, the probabilities of the top 5 payouts and the bottom 5 payouts. And it also gives you the return to player. I think it was about 90-point-something%. So I can put together once if you got the payouts and you got the probabilities, then that is kind of the ingredients of the casino game. And by doing that, you can calculate your first 4 moments. And so it gives you the whole information And you can also calculate the distribution, whether you use some sort of approximation or a simulation. So that was kind of my aim by doing that. I wanted to get the data so I could set up essentially a calculator of a poker machine. And so, yeah, you can calculate the probabilities from the table games, but no, you can't do that exactly from casino. And that's why poker machines are unfair, because they don't give you those probabilities of payouts. And I've spoken about this to the media on a number of occasions. In fact, when I had a media release, I just dominated ABC radio, just sort of about this issue. And poker machines are unfair. I don't see a problem in terms of in terms of the in terms of gambling, in terms of the ethics of gambling, or in terms of should there be gambling? I can't see a problem with poker machines. I just think that if you have machines or you have casino games in general, then you have to give the mathematics. And if you don't get the mathematics, well, that's just, to me, that's just unfair. I mean, it's like buying a grocery product. If you don't give the ingredients, I don't know, whatever it is, the fat content, the sugar content, how much sugar there is, then you're not giving the information of that product. And by giving that information, consumers can then decide whether they, in the case of a poker machine, whether they'll play the game and how long they'll actually play for. And that is responsible gambling. So unless you have that information, you will never actually have responsible gambling. And so they don't have to. There's no regulation, or there's no legal obligations for poker machine operators to do this. And I've spoken to Aristocrat, of course, and they just simply don't want to. I don't know. I don't think at the end of the day that they want responsible gambling. They're just looking to obviously make money because they're just a business like any other business. So, but yeah, back to the tennis. Yes, I did actually upper break second set. Pretty good actually service sort of technique. He sort of hits the ball. Whereas compare that to say Leighton Hewitt, he actually hits the ball. He didn't have a very good serving technique. He was sort of hitting the ball behind him. It's just really strange, like why you would develop some sort of serving technique where you're kind of hitting the ball behind you. So yeah, he possibly had the worst serve. And if you looked at his first serve percentage, it was one of the lowest in the game. And that was the difference between a Leighton Hewitt and an Andre Agassi. So they'd win the same percentage of points won on the first serve once it went in, and on the second serve. But because the first serve percentage was very low for Hewitt, which is why he wasn't at the level of course an Andre Agassi. So and that's just maybe that's just because of his technique. So why didn't he sort of work on his technique? I don't know. And also, I thought he played best on hard court, when in fact he played best on grass. His results indicated that he was winning most of the matches playing on grass, and he thought he played best on hard court. So, yeah. And having said that, yes, he did win Wimbledon, and he did win the US. He beat Sampras, actually, in that US. He just destroyed Sampras, actually. I do remember that match. And, of course, a number of matches he was playing, getting down 2 sets, and then sort of making this kind of fight back. So I think he could have been a much better player, Hewitt. As good as he was, I think he could have been a much better player. And it's probably a result of his technique and basically the coaching is really what I think it comes down to. But I guess his mental game was obviously pretty good in the fact he could sort of come back from these 2 sets sort of matches. But yeah, but at the end of the day, yes, he did get to number 1, but he only won 2 slams. And of course, Pat Rafter won 2 slams as well. He won the US Open twice. Interestingly, he won the US and not Wimbledon, but because he lost to Goran Ivanisevic in that Wimbledon, that epic final. Goran 9-7 5th set. And of course, Goran as a wild card, only wild card to win Wimbledon. So, but I mean, you kind of have to expect that. He made the final several times. I think he lost to Sampras a couple of times, the Wimbledon final, and he just won on the serve. So he really just had a serve, and that's pretty impressive. But not just a serve, but just basically aces. So, and that's what he'd do. He'd just go to the ace every first serve. So people just thought he was completely boring. I thought he was one of the best players to watch, in fact. So, but his second serve, he just kind of choked, choked on the second serve. I mean, I don't know. I think he should have just taken more risk. Maybe just gone for an ace every second serve and just, I don't know, hit an ace or double fault. That's his game. Yeah. I don't know. Don't know what I'll do now. Whether I'll sort of watch this whole match. I think Djokovic is playing it at the same time, but of course they're not showing that because De Minaur's playing. So they're always going to play. Always going to put Australian first over even over Djokovic. So I don't know, kind of makes sense. Maybe more people want to watch De Minaur than Djokovic. I don't know. But at least, of course, with Ash Barty, at least he was winning slams and of course ranked #1. So, yeah, whether De Minaur will be the next best thing since Ash Barty. I mean, he's been around a while, I think, De Minaur. I don't think he's that, I don't know his age, but he's been around a while. And again, I don't know, Kyrgios, I thought Kyrgios had a lot of talent. He made the final of Wimbledon, Kyrgios. Early on in his career, he made the quarters. Having said that, also Bernard Tomic made the quarters. And then he just kind of, he just kind of fell apart a little bit. He just thought he was kind of the GOAT, like Tomic. Yeah. But he did make the quarters. I mean, yeah, if you make the quarters, you can kind of, I don't know. So maybe you can just sort of, I don't know, chalk it up a little bit and think I don't know, kind of funny in a way. Kyrgios, a lot of talent, though, I think. And I actually thought Kyrgios, I was devising some strategies for Kyrgios. He should have taken more risk on the serve, on the second serve, Kyrgios. And I think he should have just come to the net a bit more. I don't think he could beat the likes of a Djokovic from the baseline. So I think it's just, again, just kind of strategies. And a lot of these players, they just don't really have strategies. They're not really, just not listening to the Baron, of course, and done the analysis, read several papers on how much risk to take on the serve, on the second serve, also game theory as well. You have to mix up the strategies as well, at least according to game theory. So every player should actually mix up the second serve, take sort of more risk. Also the direction of serve, I don't know, the spin on the ball, and and also come to the net as well. You should serve and volley a proportion of the time, chip and charge a proportion of the time. And players are not typically doing that. They're just basically just staying from the baseline. So, okay, I don't know. I want to look at this gaming area.